Akwaeke's beauty was renowned throughout the village of Umudike, but it was her inner qualities that truly set her apart. Her kindness and compassion were unmatched, drawing admirers from far and wide who sought to win her affections. Despite the attention and the persistent proposals, Akwaeke remained steadfast in her resolve to wait for the right partner. For Akwaeke, marriage was not merely a union of convenience or societal expectation. It was a sacred bond founded on mutual respect and love. She had witnessed firsthand the tender affection her father had shown upon her mother, treating her with utmost respect and devotion. It was a standard she refused to compromise on, determined to find a partner who would honor and cherish her in the same way. Her refusal to settle for anything less stemmed from not only her self-worth, but also from the painful lessons she had learned from the tragic loss of her elder sister, who lost her life after she entered a 10-year marriage filled with toxicity and domestic violence. Akwaeke refused to succumb to societal pressure or the promises of suitors who failed to meet her standards. She remained patient, trusting that the right man would come into her life at the appointed time. As time passed, Akwaeke found herself surpassing the age of other unmarried maidens. While her decision brought impatience from her mother, who urged her to settle for any suitor, Akwaeke remained unmoved, steadfast in her quest for genuine love. Despite the societal pressure and ridicule she faced from villagers who mocked her single status, Akwaeke channeled the mockery and ridicule thrown at her gracefully by navigating through life's challenges with dignity. She wasn't just a pretty face. Her mother owned the famous food spots in the corner of Urumba Market. Both of them have been managing it since Akwaeke's father passed on. Her ability to cook made it a favorite among locals and travelers alike. Situated between three bustling villages, the market was a hub of activity, and Akwaeke's buka became a must-stop spot for refueling. Her savory dishes like her signature jollof rice and hot pepper soup drew in customers from far and wide. Despite facing personal challenges, Akwaeke poured her heart into her work, infusing each dish with love and care. Her warm smile and welcoming personality made her food spot not just a place to eat, but a beloved destination for all who visited. In all the happenings in Umudike, the villagers anticipated the upcoming Great Amanze festival. This was the first time in 12 years since Umudike hosted the celebration. The Amanze festival was a grand affair, eagerly anticipated by all 8 clans that participated. Each year, one clan would have the honor of hosting the festival, transforming their village into a bustling venue of activity and excitement. It was a time of celebration, where the boundaries between clans blurred and unity prevailed. One of the most significant aspects of the Amanze festival was its reputation as a prime opportunity for matchmaking. Young men and women from other clans eagerly attended, hopeful of finding their life partners during this festival. The festival provided a rare chance for individuals to interact with members of other villages, expanding their pool of potential suitors and increasing their chances of finding a compatible match. Amanze festival was not just a time for matters of the heart. It was also an opportunity for businesses. Vendors from all corners of 8 clans converged at the festival grounds, setting up stalls to showcase their wares, from colorful fabrics to exquisite handicrafts. The marketplace becoming an assorted blend of sights and sounds, offering a diverse array of goods and eager customers. With business on Akwaeke's mind, she looked forward to collaborating with palm wine vendors to help boost their sales that day. On the day of the Amanze festival, the village erupted into lively festivities. Every household with a daughter dressed their girls in their finest clothes, mothers beaming with pride as they headed to the Odimba village square. Chairs for the village warriors were decorated with leopard skins and elephant tusks, creating a majestic sight. Each clan had their representative masquerades and cultural dancers showcase their skills and tradition. Loud cheers and laughter filled Odimba Square as the drummers played recognizable traditional tunes. Akwaeke's store became jam-packed with customers buying food as usual. Just then, Akwaeke noticed a store just like hers that served food as well. Even though it looked better presentable with more comfortable chairs and servers, she noticed no customers approached it, especially with such a crowd like the kind that Amanze festival gathered. It didn't take long before a young man crossed over to ask if he could move their store closer to Akwaeke's. Seeing that they both sell food, to which she quickly agreed. Udodiri is his name. She helped them set up their store beside hers, and just like that they started to gain customers. Both their stalls in no time sold out. With extra time on their hands, Akwaeke and Udodiri washed all the plates, tidied the place, and set out to watch the remaining bit of the festival. Udodiri took a liking to how hardworking Akwaeke was. They spent memorable moments, singing, dancing, eating, getting to know each other and participating in the competitions there. Evening quickly came and Udodiri was reluctant to leave. He promised Akwaeke that he was going to visit the next day. Akwaeke's presence in Udodiri's life was a striking reminder of his mother's resilience and dedication. Her focus and tireless work ethic mirrored that of Nne Ulaku, drawing Udodiri to her like a magnet. In Akwaeke, he saw a younger version of his mother, sharing several similarities that resonated deeply with him. Beyond his role in running their family's numerous businesses alongside his mother, Udodiri was a potter with a creative spirit. Despite living an average life in Umudike village, he found fulfillment in his craft. The act of molding clay into beautiful works of art served as a beautiful form of expression and a source of solace to him. With Akwaeke, Udodiri found a kindred spirit, someone who shared his passion for hard work and creative expression. Together they formed a bond rooted in mutual respect and admiration, drawn together by their shared values and aspirations. Just like his mother, Nne Ulaku, whose resilience and dedication were cornerstones of her character, married off at a tender age to a man much older and from a wealthy family. Ulaku found herself trapped in a nightmare of abuse and neglect. Her husband and his family, blinded by their own privilege, treated her with disdain and cruelty, showing no regard for her humanity or dignity. Night after night, she endured horrors of her marriage, her cries for help falling on deaf ears. But Ulaku's spirit could not be broken. When she discovered she was pregnant, with the help of her most trusted confidant, Obiangeli, she found the courage to break free from the shackles of her oppression. Under the cover of darkness, she fled from her abusers, determined to create a better life for herself and her unborn child. With nothing but the clothes on her back and the fire of determination burning in her heart, she embarked on a journey towards freedom. Ever since then, she and Udodiri had faced life storms together, relying solely on each other for support and companionship. For Nne Ulaku, the thought of sharing her son's affection with another woman, especially one who seemed to come out of nowhere, stirred a primal sense of protectiveness. However, beneath Ulaku's outward skepticism lay a deeper concern. Ulaku and Obiangeli had made a pact to solidify their friendship with the union of their children. She saw in Akwaeke not just a potential rival for her son's affection, but a gold digger. With Udodiri's constant visit to see Akwaeke, a maiden from several clans away, she couldn't shake the nagging worry that Akwaeke's presence in Udodiri's life would somehow diminish her own significance, leaving her once alone in a world that was already proven to be cruel and unforgiving. Despite the villagers' playful teasing about their closeness, Udodiri remained modest and respectful to Akwaeke. Like a skilled craftsman, he demonstrated his affection by decorating their restaurants with unique paintings and sculptures like he did his mother's, completely transforming their restaurant to a more relaxing spot. His frequent visits and acts of kindness gradually deepened the bond between himself and Akwaeke. 1 year had passed and marriage arrangements were in place, and just like that, Amanze festival became an integral part of Akwaeke and Udodiri's lives. Following their wedding ceremony, Akwaeke found happiness in her union with Udodiri. Settling into married life, she moved to Umudike, and together they embraced the roles of husband and wife. Their lives were filled with contentment and bliss. Udodiri's marriage to Akwaeke marked a significant departure from his usual pattern of behavior as a devoted son. For years, he had been known as a mama's boy, his decision largely influenced by his mother's decision and desires. The choice to marry Akwaeke, despite her maturity and previous refusals to marry, raised eyebrows in the village, especially among those familiar with Nneolaku's domineering presence, who still saw Akwaeke as a desperate maiden who used the Amanze festival to trap her son. Nneolaku's reaction to her son's choice was a mix of surprise and suspicion. Her mind raced with questions. Was Akwaeke's sudden acceptance of marriage to her son driven by ulterior motives? Did Akwaeke use Udodiri as a means to secure her future, knowing he would eventually inherit all her possessions? Is her son under a spell of some sort? With these thoughts clouding her mind, she decided to pay her son a visit. Akwaeke greeted her mother-in-law Nneolaku warmly and served her a delicious meal with genuine hospitality. However, Nneolaku couldn't conceal her disgust as she observed Akwaeke's polished appearance and the apparent luxury surrounding her. To Nneolaku, it seemed as though Akwaeke was living extravagantly at her son's expense, abandoning her roots and forgetting the humble beginnings she once had. Upon Udodiri's return home that evening, he brought home gifts for both his mother and his wife, including some rare, expensive silk materials. This gesture, intended as a kind gesture, only fueled Nneolaku's grievances further. In her eyes, it confirmed her fears that Akwaeke was a gold digger, and she felt insulted that she had to wear the same clothes as Akwaeke. She wasted no time in airing her grievances to her son Udodiri about Akwaeke's lifestyle, particularly her employment of maids and apparent disregard for traditional household duties. As Nneolaku adorned herself with the silk material, resentment grew within her. Does Akwaeke know what I endured to get to this point I did? But here she is squandering my son's money, she thought to herself bitterly, feeling unappreciated and disregarded despite her sacrifices. It's been 7 days now. Nneolaku took matters into her own hands, relieving Akwaeke's workers of their responsibilities and forcing Akwaeke to shoulder the burden of managing both restaurants and households single-handedly. Her presence became oppressive, as her constant criticism and fault-finding made life unbearable for Akwaeke. Desperate to win her mother-in-law's approval, Akwaeke went into great lengths to cater to her every need, even at the expense of her own well-being. However, her efforts were in vain, as Nneolaku remained dissatisfied and unappreciative. Akwaeke found herself trapped and devoid of rest or spare time from her duties. Each day brought new demands and challenges from Nneolaku, testing every fiber of patience in Akwaeke. Months passed and Udodiri noticed his wife began to look malnourished. Finally, unable to bear the burden alone, Akwaeke opened up to her husband, revealing the extent of her suffering at the hands of his mother. Udodiri, consumed by anger, confronted his mother regarding the anguish she inflicted on his wife. He pleaded for her to move into the guest quarters first thing the following morning, leaving Akwaeke in a very uncomfortable position, as she tried everything to calm the situation but to no avail. The next morning, shocked and angered at her son's stance towards her, Nneolaku confided in her best friend Nneobiangeri, who, still scorned by Udodiri not marrying her daughter, was quick to advise they visit a herbalist. On getting there, the herbalist warned Nneolaku against separating Udodiri from Akwaeke, stating their souls were tied, and the only option was Akwaeke living Udodiri's life on her own accord. With the tension between mother and son, Akwaeke discovered she was expecting her first child. This news filled her with joyous anticipation, as she couldn't wait to have little Akwekes and Udodiris running around their home. She shared the news with Udodiri, asking him to use this avenue to mend fences with his mother. Udodiri, however, made Akwaeke a part owner of his very successful pottery business. Filled with disgust and anger upon hearing the news, Nneolaku decided to go back to her own home. But before leaving, she enacted a spell upon her son, compelling him to withdraw his support for Akwaeke, both financially and emotionally, intending to force her into a position of frustration so she leaves her son alone. And Akwaeke to never know happiness if she remains under her son's roof. As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Udodiri's demeanor shifted, becoming a mere shadow of his former self. Akwaeke felt as though she was living with a stranger in their own home. He seemed to disregard every aspect of their marriage, showing no regard for her feelings. Her tears fell on deaf ears, and the love they once shared felt violated with each passing day. Despite being pregnant, Udodiri withdrew both financial and emotional support from Akwaeke, leaving her to endure the agony of their crumbling relationship alone. He defiled their matrimonial home daily, showing no concern for the turmoil he caused. Still holding on strongly to the love they once had, Akwaeke resiliently started a small business, crafting finger foods to sustain herself and prepare for her child's arrival. It was a testament of her strength and determination in the face of adversity. Observing from the sidelines, Nneolaku was astonished by Akwaeke's resilience, causing her to reflect on the effectiveness of Akwaeke's love for her son. As Akwaeke approached her due date with eager anticipation, she readied herself for the arrival of her baby. However, as months passed with no signs of labor, her excitement turned to despair. Her husband, on the other hand, swayed by the laughter and mockery of their community, remained indifferent to Akwaeke's plight, leaving her to endure her struggles alone. Determined to further push Akwaeke to the edge, Nneolaku arranged for her son to marry Obiangeli's daughter Ndidi. Finally reaching her breaking point, Akwaeke decided to leave her matrimonial home to seek refuge with the only person who would never turn their back on her mother. It took an excruciating 2 days to get to Umudike. Seeing Akwaeke standing before her, looking worn out, heavily pregnant, yet scaringly malnourished, she gave a warm hug to her that seemed to cause Akwaeke to collapse into her arms. Moved by her daughter's plight, Akwaeke's mother provided comfort and care as Akwaeke's pregnancy extended into the 15th month. Concerned for her health, her mother sought help from the renowned Umudike herbalist. Upon examination, he revealed Akwaeke's pregnancy was cursed, posing a risk to her life if left unchecked. Faced with this revelation, they sought guidance on how to leave the curse. The herbalist's instructions were clear. Only a cleansing bath in the sacred waters of Umudike River can break the ties binding Akwaeke to Udodiri. Torn between her desire to give birth and the need to break free from her troubled marriage, Akwaeke broke down in tears. As 2 additional months passed, Akwaeke's pregnancy stretched into its 17th month. With her health getting worse, her mom carried her to the river, where she immersed her daughter in its healing waters. After 3 days of purification, Akwaeke began to feel a newfound strength coursing through her veins. On the 4th day, labor pains signaled the onset of childbirth. Enduring 28 hours of labor, Akwaeke finally welcomed her long-awaited son into the world, a moment of pure gratitude and relief. After the birth of her son Kamsi, she found renewed purpose in her life. She returned to running her parents' restaurant, pouring her heart and soul into its success. With her determination and business savvy, she transformed it into a thriving enterprise, attracting investors and expanding into other ventures. She purchased vast lands and started additional businesses, all while ensuring her mother had a bigger and better home to live in. As Akwaeke dedicated herself to her business and endeavors, her mother provided invaluable support, helping to take care of Kamsi while Akwaeke pursued her dreams. Meanwhile, back at Udodiri's household, Ndidi's unwillingness to work and her desire for a luxurious lifestyle drove their business into the ground. In order to maintain Ndidi's extravagant tastes, Udodiri resorted to selling off properties, sacrificing their family's stability for her happiness. Witnessing the downfall of her son's household, Nneolaku made the decision to travel back to Umudike. She hoped to bring Akwaeke back to Udodiri, believing that her presence could restore order and prosperity to their family. However, little did she know the extent of the transformation Akwaeke had undergone and the independence she had gained in building her own empire. As Nneolaku arrived in Umudike, she was utterly shocked by the transformation that Akwaeke had undergone. The status she had achieved, the success she had built, it was beyond anything Nneolaku could have imagined. But what truly took her back was the sight of her grandson Kamsi. His resemblance to Udodiri's birth father Nna Alozie was uncanny. This triggered painful memories of the sufferings she endured at the hands of Alozie's family, the torture, the maltreatment. Watching Kamsi with a striking resemblance to her ex-husband Alozie laugh while pointing at her felt as though the gods had sent her husband back in the form of her grandson to torment her once more. Those memories had shaped her into the woman she became. But now, faced with her grandson, she couldn't help but see the parallels of her own actions towards Akwaeke. Turning to Akwaeke, she pleaded for reconciliation, for a chance to right the wrongs she had unwittingly inflicted upon her son's loving home. But Akwaeke's response shattered her hopes. Akwaeke explained how her ties with Udodiri had been severed, emphasizing her decision to welcome Kamsi into the world and her newfound liberation from the torments of her past. She shared how she had outgrown the version of herself that endured maltreatment and mistreatment, choosing instead to embrace a life of independence and self-worth. Nneolaku listened, her heart heavy with remorse for the pain she had caused Akwaeke and the turmoil she had brought upon her own family. In that moment, she realized the magnitude of her mistakes, but she also saw the strength and resilience in her daughter-in-law's eyes, a reflection of the woman who had become, a woman who refused to be defined by her past, and who had forged her own path to happiness and fulfillment. Left with no choice, Nneolaku decided to visit Udodiri's household to speak to him about bringing back Akwaeke and their son Kamsi, only to be met with the sounds of screams and fighting between Udodiri and Ndidi. Unnoticed, Nneolaku sat outside Udodiri's house, tears streaming down her cheeks as she witnessed the chaos unfolding before her. She was speechless, overwhelmed by the realization of how she had let history repeat itself, how she had unknowingly contributed to the destruction of her son's life by trying to force Akwaeke out of it. In that moment of reflection, amidst the turmoil of her son's household, a piercing scream was heard, emanating from inside. Without hesitation, she rushed into the house, only to be confronted by a horrific scene. Udodiri lay in a pool of his own blood, and the frantic Ndidi stood nearby, attempting to explain that it was all an act of self-defense. Nneolaku, her heart shattered, held onto Udodiri's hands as he took his last breath. Ndidi fled the scene, leaving Nneolaku alone with her dead son cradled in her arms. With tears streaming down her face, she sang a calming tune, a mother's lament for the life lost and the irreversible tragedy that had befallen her family. This brings me to the end of this story. Akwaeke and Nneolaku represent two different paths shaped by their choices and responses to adversity. Akwaeke's resilience and determination to forge her own destiny echo the importance of self-discovery and perseverance in overcoming challenges. Her journey teaches us that true strength lies not in dominating people, but in facing our own weaknesses and learning from our experiences. On the other hand, Nneolaku's story serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of pride and stubbornness. Her initial resistance to change and failure to acknowledge her mistakes led to tragedy within her own family. Through her journey, we learn the value of humility, empathy, and the willingness to confront shortcomings to foster healthier relationships and personal growth. Furthermore, the story highlights the delicate balance between familial bonds and individual autonomy. Akwaeke's struggles with her husband and mother-in-law highlight the complexities of family dynamics and the importance of mutual respect and understanding. It reminds us that while families can offer support and love, it can also become a source of conflict and pain, if fueled by control or selfishness. A well-known African proverb that aligns with the moral lessons from this story is, "Smooth seas do not make skillful sailors." This proverb emphasizes the idea that challenges are necessary for personal growth and resilience. Just as rough seas test the abilities of sailors, difficult experiences shape individuals and strengthen their character. This proverb reflects Akwaeke's journey of facing hardships, learning from them, and emerging stronger and wiser. It also highlights the importance of perseverance and resilience in navigating life's ups and downs. This brings me to the end of this video, and as usual, I really appreciate it if you like, share, or subscribe. And I want to also know what you would have done differently. Until next time, bye!